Section 1. The Weight of the Crown. Power and its Shadows. The medieval world feels far away. Stone castles, steel swords, knights in heavy armour, plagues that swept across the land. It was an age of faith and fear. At the centre of this world stood the king. He wore a crown of gold and jewels. The crown made one person very powerful. This power was meant to bring order. It was meant to protect the people from chaos. The king was the judge. The king was the general. His word was law. His decisions could mean life or death for thousands. This absolute power could build great cathedrals, forge nations from scattered tribes, create laws for justice and stability. A good king could bring peace, prosperity, and safety. The crown was a symbol of divine right. But this immense power had a deep and dangerous shadow. It could twist the mind of the man who wore the crown. Behind grand tapestries and polished armour, secrets festered. Not all kings were noble protectors. Some were cruel tyrants, greedy, enraged, manipulative. They lied to justify wars, and some even killed their own to secure the throne. These stories warn us about the nature of power, and the kings whose scandals, mysteries and bloodshed echo through time. Section 2. King John of England, the tyranny of a king without friends. He ruled from 1199 to 1216. His reign was filled with trouble. He lost vast and valuable lands in France, lands his father and brother had won, earning him the name John Softsword. He quarrelled with the Pope. England fell under a religious ban. Churches were closed. The people feared for their souls. John needed money for failed wars and government, and raised taxes to crushing levels from rich and poor alike. He used justice as a weapon, huge fines for small offences. He took barons' children as hostages. Suspicious and mistrustful, he spied on his own court. Stories say he starved enemies in dungeons. He forced widows to pay dearly to avoid marriages he imposed. Resentment spread across the land. In 1215, his barons rebelled, captured London and cornered him at Runnymede. They forced him to sign the Magna Carta. It declared the king not above the law. No taxation without consent. No imprisonment without fair trial. Revolutionary limits on absolute power. John had no intention of obeying. He had it voided, hired mercenaries and waged brutal civil war. He died a year later from illness on campaign, leaving a divided kingdom and a legacy of tyranny. Yet most writings about John were by enemies. Separating truth from propaganda is hard. Section 3. Richard III of England. The Vanishing Princes and a Skeleton's Tale. Edward V, 12, and his brother Richard, 9, were placed in the Tower. Then they vanished. They were never seen again. Their uncle Richard declared them illegitimate and took the crown. Whispers followed him ever after. Enemies led by Henry Tudor weaponized the story. Later, Shakespeare cemented the monstrous image. Then, in 2012, under a Leicester car park, a skeleton was found. A severely curved spine, and multiple brutal wounds, including a fatal strike to the skull. After extensive testing, DNA matched living relatives. It was confirmed the lost king had been found. We learned how Richard died, but not what befell the princes. The bones keep their secrets. For 5 centuries the mystery has endured, layered by politics, art and fear. Bosworth ended Richard's reign. The Tudors had every reason to darken his name. When power changes hands, stories harden into truth. The historian must pry between them to find what might really have happened. Section 4. Ivan the Terrible of Russia. A descent into madness and murder. Early on, he centralized power, updated the legal code, and expanded the realm, intelligent and devout. But grief unlocked a darker side. Paranoia took root. He created the Oprichnina, black-clad enforcers who answered only to him, to sniff out treason and sweep it away. They arrested, tortured, and executed thousands, seizing lands for the Tsar. In a fit of rage in 1581, Ivan struck his son and heir. The blow was fatal. His younger son was unfit to rule. After Ivan's death, Russia plunged into the time of troubles. Ivan shows what happens when absolute power meets instability. Records praised or condemned him depending on the writer. Some atrocities may be exaggerated, yet the suffering was real. The core truth endures. A ruler's descent into madness scarred a nation and set it on a path to disaster. Philip the Fair was named for his looks, not his character. He ruled from 1285 to 1314, quiet, cold, ruthlessly efficient. Wars drained coffers. He taxed clergy, expelled Jews, and seized their property to feed the crown. Indebted to the wealthy Knights Templar, Philip saw obstacle and opportunity. On Friday, October 13, 1307, he ordered every Templar in France arrested. He spread lurid accusations. Under torture, many confessed, and those confessions proved their guilt. The Pope dissolved the order. Grand Master Jacques de Molay died at the stake. Legend says he cursed king and pope, who both died soon after. Philip twisted law, false accusations, forced confessions, show trials, to seize a fortune. Records born of torture demand skepticism. Henry VIII, larger than life, ruled England from 1509 to 1547. Handsome, athletic, musical, scholarly, a devoted Catholic, yet obsessed with securing a male heir. Denied annulment, he chose rupture. Parliament named him Supreme Head of the Church of England. The English Reformation began. He closed monasteries and seized vast estates. Wealth he spent on courtly splendour and wars. Opponents like Sir Thomas More died for treason. Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard were beheaded. He used Parliament and courts to legalise tyranny. Was he reformer or despot, using faith for desire? The evidence cuts both ways. Studying these kings is like solving a crime with dead witnesses and tampered evidence. So many records are gone, lost to fire, flood and time. Most writers were monks or court clerks, never neutral. Dynasties glorified themselves and demonized foes. Propaganda echoed for generations. Tombs moved, bones lost, buildings rebuilt. Without bodies or walls, certainty crumbles. Today, science reshapes history. DNA gives voice to bones. Ground-penetrating radar reveals buried castles. Digital archives unlock patterns. DNA confirmed Richard III. One day, it might test the tower's small skeletons and answer a centuries-old question. Imaging resurrects erased lines. 3D reconstructions return lost spaces. VR sets us on Bosworth's field. Digitized ledgers track wealth, demographics, connections, adding rigor beyond stories. Absolute power tempts rulers to act without limits. Extortion, murder, terror, legal manipulation, schism, shaping Europe's institutions in response. Abuses forced evolution, charters, parliaments, courts to bind the crown. Were medieval kings powerful rulers protecting their kingdoms, or tyrants whose secrets shaped history in darker ways than we realize?